and I'm back. And I don't know, I got a weird feeling that I'm missing something. I'm not sure what it is, but I think I'm missing something. I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter. Last week, we had the release of the highly anticipated Friends reunion episode, and I also found a list of the highest rated Friends episodes. So let's go through it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
I'm telling you, I got this really, really bizarre feeling that I'm forgetting something. I don't know what it is. And it's gonna bug me throughout this whole thing because I feel like there's something important and I haven't done it, and it's part of something that I usually do for my podcast, and it's gonna keep bugging me. But I guess there's nothing I can do about it now. Before we get into this, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World, streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World. Usually I aim on on Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually I aim for around 2 p.m. But unfortunately, today, I kind of had internet issues. I don't know why. Cox has been acting up. I'm considering changing to AT&T fiber. Does anybody else use fiber? Is it any good? I'm considering it because it's just a pain in the ass. Like sometimes the upload is a major pain. I'm having issues with that, and it's like, you know what? Fucking maybe it's time for a change. B Urias, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. But let's get into it. So first off, for those of you who don't know, I guess I should explain. We're going to be talking about the TV show Friends specifically. Okay, for those of you who never watched it, because either you're too young or you were living under a rock in the 90s, Friends is a sitcom that aired in the 90s and the early 2000s. And it's basically it's an ensemble show about the lives of 6 friends. Their names are, let's see, it's Ross and his sister Monica, Rachel, who's Monica's best friend. They live across. Well, this is gonna be hard to explain. All right, so the TV show is about Monica and Rachel, 2 former best friends from high school who got separated afterwards, and then Rachel decides she doesn't want to get married, and so she ends up living in Monica's apartment. So Monica and Rachel live across the hall from Chandler and Joey. Chandler is Ross's best friend. Now, Ross is Monica's older brother, and Joey is a struggling actor trying to make it in New York City who became friends through them because he started living with Joey. And their other friend, Phoebe, who used to be Monica's roommate. So there you go. That's how everybody knows each other. That's the whole dynamic there. And it all kind of centers around either a coffee shop called Central Perk or Monica and Rachel's apartment, which is where everybody hangs out because it's the big apartment. So I think that's the easiest way to explain it. And it's about their lives, their shenanigans, and all that stuff. So Danny's game clips. I want to support you. What restaurant do you work for to give you a fat tip? Well, here's the thing about the restaurant. I'm not always consistently there, but it's called Urban in El Cajon. If you want to go over there, you may or may not recognize me because I'm still wearing a mask, because it's, first off, honestly, way more comfortable with listen, I do this thing at the restaurant because I like messing with tables sometimes. I like messing with people in general, but with tables it's extra fun. And so I noticed that people sometimes get uncomfortable with the mask, and so I find that humorous. And sometimes, they tell a joke and I just give no expression in my eyes and stuff because I have that stare. And so I can see them just, die inside. And I love it. I love that little thing. So you may or may not recognize me. I don't know. That's the point. Because I'm going to keep rocking that thing until it stops being funny. Anyway, so let's talk about the show, because otherwise I'm going to get distracted here, Danny. Anyway, so the TV show, it centers about those 6 friends and in their lives in New York City. So recently, and by recently I mean last week, HBO Max released a reunion special. And so let's talk about the reunion special first, so I can get that out of the way before we actually get into the fun stuff. So the reunion special, it's overall, there's good moments to it. There's a lot of funny moments to it that I really enjoyed. And it's mostly just, honestly, my favorite part was the cast watching the bloopers. So, and them retelling those stories, retelling their adventures, and kind of giving you kind of like behind the scenes stuff. that you're seeing right there. I really enjoyed that. To me, that was the best part. I was laughing out loud. The rest of it, it was just a wasted opportunity. Overall, it's a wasted opportunity. And for some reason, a bunch of random people kept showing up for no reason. Like, there's a full 10 minutes. Well, not 10 minutes. There's a full thing right in the middle of it. And it's very long where they just keep showing people from around the world telling you why they like the show. Now, who are those people? Who gives a fuck? I don't care about them. I'm there for the Friends reunion, not for the Friends fan documentary. I don't give a fuck about any of those people. And they're there for a really long time. There's people from India, there's from Ghana, there's people from Mexico, and they're like, oh yeah, when I came home, they were like my friends, blah, blah. Fuck you, I don't give a fuck about your life. I wanted to see the show. And it lasts for a really long time. Now, if you want to do that, the friend reaction, the friends and all that stuff, there's a place where you could have done it, and it's called the end credits. In the end credits, you could have showed as much of the fans as you wanted. You know, fans saying how important the show is to them, blah, blah. Not in the middle of the fucking thing, because it takes you completely out of it. At one point, I was watching it with my kid brother and my sister. My brother was like, hey, what are we watching? Like, are we still watching the show? Like he was genuinely confused as to whether or not I changed the thing or if this was an extra afterwards. It sucked. It sucked. The interview thing at the end, it's like that. They try to do this thing where it's like an interview, like imagine like a late night show interview, but it's in front of the fountain, so it's an iconic thing. And they keep giving, you know, the cast member surprises, like, oh, this person showed up and this person showed up, blah blah blah. And it's like, who the fuck cares, right? I don't care about. I've seen them do interviews before. Now, there's one or two interesting tidbits. They have chemistry together, so that was fun. But overall, to me, it seemed like a really missed opportunity. Now, there's some fun stuff. They do a table read, and you get to see them reenact the certain iconic scenes. And it's fun to watch because you're like, holy shit, like Lisa Kudrow nailed that. Like, she did it exactly like she did it before. So it's like they still got the talent. And certain things add a little bit more intensity to it because certain things are revealed. So that's fun, that's enjoyable. You get to see the behind the scenes of like the fan reactions and how it changed their lives and all that stuff. So again, it was interesting. It was like a documentary in that part. It was fun. But there's, again, a lot. I wasn't there for that. Okay, I wasn't there for the Friends documentary. I was there for the reunions. I wanted to either put the cast together in a new episode or make them do something. And they're not there for a big chunk of it because there's a bunch of celebrities that keep showing up for no reason. Now, there's a lot of celebrities that showed up on Friends. And I mean quite a lot of them and extremely big names. Let's see. Julia Roberts, Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, I don't know, Paul fucking Rudd. None of them show up. There's a bunch of randos. Like, freaking David Beckham is in there for what reason? I don't fucking know, but David Beckham's in there. And they keep showing up, and basically what they say is, oh yeah, I thought Friends was really funny. And this is my favorite episode, and it's my favorite episode because it's funny. It's like, really? And then they show you clips from that episode. It's like, there wasn't any other way you could have done that. And it's annoying because supposedly for the reunion, there was they could only do it one day. It's the one day that all six cast members were available. And so if you could show up that day, you were done. And so you're like, all right, fine. That's where you're going to do it. Fine, whatever. But they recorded people separately. And it makes no sense. And even, and they even do a Zoom call. And the person who does the Zoom call is Gunther. Okay, I get it. Gunther was kind of a big deal. And he was a part of the show. I'm not going to say big deal, but he was like a fun little gimmick in the show. But again, you could have had Paul Rudd show up. You could have had Hank Azaria show up. If you're doing Zoom, they could have done Zoom. And so, or they could have recorded something separately. Like Reese Witherspoon recorded something separately. And with her, it made sense. You know why? Because she was actually on the fucking show. So I don't get it. There's a lot of wasted time with people that I don't give a fuck about, basically saying, oh, I thought the show was really funny, and this is my favorite bit, and it's funny because haha. It's like, okay, dude, we agree. I'm a fan of the show, and I found it funny too. And there's certain people that want to explain to you why it's funny. Now, I get it. I get it for. I literally just had this conversation with my kid brother because Kit Harington shows up, and for those of you who don't know who Kit Harington is, he plays Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, and he gives you a breakdown of a scene, and he explains why it's funny, and he says like, well, if you're an actor and they give you this scene, the scene is just like one page long, and so everything that they did came out from them, and it's the comedic talent, blah blah. I've worked in the industry and I know how that works. So to me, that wasn't really interesting. To me, I was just hearing somebody explain to me why something that I thought was funny is funny. It's like, why are you doing this? You're just ruining it. You're just ruining it. The thing that made it actually funny to watch is that they showed you the bloopers of it happening. So the back, again, behind the scenes stuff was great. It was the scene with the pivot, and they show you the how they can't stop laughing, and how David Schwimmer keeps it going. And again, there's a few interesting tidbits. I earned a lot more respect for David Schwimmer for a few things that you learned there. So if you again, you want to check it out, there's interesting stuff. There's good moments. Overall, missed opportunity and way too long, and a bunch of unnecessary stuff, a bunch of unnecessary people that I just could not give a fuck about. Like, not even care less about. So there you go. If you want to watch it, it doesn't compare to any of the Friends episodes, but there you go. So let's move on to a list. I found a list of the rankings of the top, well, not rankings, the top rated Friends episodes of all time. So this is the top 10. The top 10 best of the best, and they're going based off of the ratings from IMDb. That's the Internet Movie Database. So I personally like IMDb because I feel it tries to be the most objective. It's not always objective, but over certain websites like Rotten Tomatoes sucks. Okay, it's garbage. It's hot garbage. I never believe anything that Rotten Tomatoes says, even in the audience score. I just don't believe it. But IMDb, I've found it to be certainly the most objective or the most accurate of how I feel for certain things. It's not always great. It doesn't always get it, but I feel it's like it's the closest. So that's the reason why I actually respected this list. So here you go. The list of the top rated Friends TV shows we got for number 10. We got from season 6, the one where Ross got high. And here you may understand why I particularly like this list. So this is a Thanksgiving episode for those of you who don't know. And I think it's the one that I said that it's my favorite thing. No, last Thanksgiving, I did my own rankings of the best Friends TV shows of all time. I'm sorry, not TV, the TV episodes of all time. And what I included in this particular list, to me, this was my number one. To me, this is the number one Thanksgiving episode. And it's because there's a minute in there that's just like cry your eyes out hysterical. Like your stomach ends up hurting because it's so fun. And it's the minute where everybody's just going crazy. Like when Joey's like, I want to go. You wasn't supposed to put meat on the trifle. And it starts with Monica and Ross. Like the Ross smoked pot in college. Monica, hurricane something did not break the front porch. Monica did. Ross did this. The mailman didn't steal Dad's pornos. Ross did. Monica and Chandler are living together. So it's great. I love it. It's hysterical. Love it. It's one of my favorite ones. And the thing that I really liked about these particular ratings is while I was doing my rankings of the best Thanksgiving episodes, I said that the Thanksgiving episodes are among the best episodes in the entire Friends series. And apparently, according to this list, shocker, I was right. So that's maybe another reason why I felt like we should do this. So here we go. So again, number 10, the one where Ross got high. It's a Thanksgiving episode, season 6. Let's continue. And by the way, IMDb rating of 9.2. So let's move on to number 9. We have the one with all the Thanksgivings. So, like I said, the Thanksgiving episodes are among the best of all time for a reason, and that's why I did the ratings, my own rankings before. This one is widely considered by a lot of people to be the best one. To me, it was number 2. Just again, because that 1 minute in the other episode is hysterical. It's just beyond hysterical. This is the one where Chandler calls Monica fat, where Phoebe is. You see how's a way to say it? You see Phoebe's past life where she loses an arm and stuff. So it's hysterical. It's freaking hysterical. It's great. Again, a Thanksgiving episode Thanksgiving is where Friends is at its best, pretty much. So there you go. That's number 9, and widely considered. This is, to me, I'm shocked because 9.2 rating, so it's tied with the other one, but it's widely considered to be the best Thanksgiving episode. I disagree, but whatever. To me, it's number 2. Let's move on to number 7, the top rated Friends TV shows. We have the one with Ross's wedding, part 2. So this is after Ross says the wrong name of the wedding. You remember Ross is getting married, and it's like, instead of saying I take the Emily, he says I take the Rachel. And that's how that season ends. Well, this is part 2. And a lot of people think that this is like the greatest part of the show, like where the show really, really shines, where it shines the brightest, from season 3 to season 6, because this is where Ross's life goes to shit. This is where Chandler and Monica have their secret relationship. This is where a whole bunch of wild insanity happens with everybody, pretty much everybody. So this particular episode is Rachel kind of wondering if she should say something. Ross trying to get Emily to leave the closet. Again, we're dealing with Chandler and Monica at the beginning of their relationship, and they're trying to keep it a secret. They're trying to figure out was it a drunken mistake or whatever. So it's fantastic. I understand. Again, IMDb rating 9.2. So either one of those three, you can flip them around. You can switch them around. It works. It works. Next, we have episode number 6 in the rankings of the top 10 rated Friends episodes of all time. And here we have the one with the rumor. So another Thanksgiving episode. This one's season 8, and this is one where Brad Pitt does the cameo. And for those of you who don't know, in this particular point in time, Brad Pitt was married to Jennifer Aniston, who plays Rachel Green. And it's hysterical because Brad Pitt's character hates Rachel. And I mean loathes her entirely. And there's a lot of iconic lines from this one. Like, we started the I Hate Rachel Green club. Like, what? Who was a part of this club? Me and Ross. So, oh, by the way, at this point, Rachel is pregnant with Ross's baby. So, again, hijinks galore. Another Thanksgiving episode. What the hell? Who could have seen that coming? Me. Anyway, so let's moving on. Season 8. Let's move on to, I believe it's, what is this, number 5? I might have messed up the math. So I got, let me see, this is 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, so that was number 7. Let's move on to number 6. And by the way, the previous one had a 9.3. Number 6 has a 9.3 as well. And we got season 8's The One with the Videotape. Now, for those of you who don't remember this particular episode, this is where we discover, this is the episode where, how do I say this in a way that's not too raunchy? Okay, so basically, Ross and Rachel are fighting over who came on to who. Okay, this is where Rachel's pregnant, by the way, and they're fighting over who came on to who. Ross claims that Rachel came on to him. Rachel claims that Ross made the first move on her. And so it's revealed that Ross actually has the tape of the whole situation. And obviously, Rachel's very upset. And then you get to see Ross tell his side of the story and why he's not a scumbag, and the crew go through that particular videotape. It's hysterical. You have a great story from Joey. You get a magical story from Joey. It's a lot of fun. It's a whole heap of fun. And understand it. 9.3 is okay. Again, it's worthy of the top 10. Next, we have number 5. We have The One with the Proposal, part 2. So, this one's okay. Another 9.3. This one I think is popular because of, it pulls into the heartstrings. At this particular point, part 1, Chandler wanted to propose to Monica, but basically she kind of ruins it, and so he wants to throw her off and convince her that no, yeah, Chandler's never going to want to get married, and so he he wants to switch things up on her and try to convince her that he's never going to propose because he never wants to get married. And so Monica then maybe considers, I don't know, breaking up, and it ends with Monica actually proposing to Chandler herself in the room with all the candles. And it's one of those moments that pull at your heartstrings. It's a good episode. It's good. I wouldn't say it's among the funniest episodes, but it's good. Again, it pulls on the heartstrings. Again, 9.3. Number 4, we have The One with the Prom video. So this one, I think, counts as a Thanksgiving episode because, and I mentioned it in my rankings because it's season 2 and it's the closest thing to a Thanksgiving episode. I believe it's where Monica gets hired to make makgelit for Thanksgiving. So I think it counts. To me, it counts. Anyway, at least in my rankings, I counted it because it's the only thing closely, any even close to Thanksgiving in season 2. But this is the episode where Ross makes a pro and con list. So he's undecided. He and Rachel kissed, and he's unsure if he wants to continue dating Julie because he has a girlfriend, and then Rachel kisses him. And so he makes a pro and con list as to whether or not he should continue dating Rachel. It's hysterical. That the bit with how she discovers the list is fantastic. They use technological hijinks. It's hysterical. I love it. Love it. Again, Thanksgiving episode. Who would have thunk? Who would have thought? Who would have thunk? This is a 9.4, by the way. Number 3 to... Okay, yeah, I got it right. So number 3, we have the one with the embryos. Now, this is probably the most popular episode of all time. I don't care what anybody says. It's probably the most popular episode of all time. Because this is the episode where the girls and where the boys and the girls fight in a have a trivia competition between each other to see who knows each other best. And so whoever they end up making a bet over it, and whoever wins the particular challenge, either if the boys win, they win Rachel and Monica's apartment. If the girls win, the boys have to get rid of the rooster. So it's hysterical. The stakes are high. The tension is super high, and that's where everybody discovered that holy shit, I have no idea what Chandler does for a living, like none at all. It's freaking hysterical. Again, it's probably the most iconic one, probably. And again, 9.5. Number 2, we have, again, this is one, it's just pulling at your heartstrings. It's the last one. The last one, part 2. So this is the final episode of the whole entire series. Yes, it's sad, but it gives a nice little wrap-up or a nice little conclusion to everybody's story, except kind of Joey's. We get to see, Phoebe and Mike considering having kids. We get to see Monica and Chandler get their twins. And Ross and Rachel end up together after Rachel decides not to leave for France, I believe. So, again, I get it. But in terms of comedy, it wasn't the best. But in terms of heart, it had a lot of heart. So I understand it being one of the most popular ones. So, okay. I get it. It's fine. I get it. Again, this is 9.7. So number 1 ended with a 9.7 as well. And I already talked about this on the radio. By the way, did you hear that I had a radio shift yet today? Well, yesterday and today, yeah, I covered Bodie at the radio station from midnight to 5 a.m. So hot hours. Anyway, I talked about this one in that particular time slot, but it's the one where everybody finds out. So again, this is prime Friends. This is Friends at its best. This is between season 3 and season 5. This is actually season 5. Between season 3 and season 6, this is season 5. This is where Phoebe ends up reenacting this exact scene in the reunion, but it's where everybody discovers about Monica and Chandler, and there's a bunch of iconic moments in that particular episode, like Phoebe's, "Oh, my eyes, Chandler and Monica," and they don't know, we know, they know, we know, and actually that exact phrase, I got it from my sister in a shirt. So they don't know. We know. They know. We know. I love it. It's great. They try to play this game of chicken between Phoebe and Chandler. And at the end, there's one of my favorite moments with Ross where he's trying to show his old boss. Because you remember Ross got fired for anger issues, and this is my sandwich. So he's trying to show his new boss that he's got his life together. He's ready to come back to the museum. And at the end, as he's showing him around the new apartment, yeah, as you can see, I got my life back here, I got a brand new place. Then he sees the window and he sees Chandler and Monica doing it. He's like, hey, get off my sister! So, like I said, great show. I get it. I get why it's number 1. It's an iconic moment. It's all, honestly, the whole series is great. I loved it from beginning to end. There's some rough patches there at the end, but overall, I really enjoyed it. Those are the top rated episodes. You can feel however you want about them. About the reunion, it's fine. Like I said, it's fine. It's funny. It's funny when it's funny, and it's a huge waste of time when it's not, because you're just seeing a whole bunch of people you don't care about. In fact, you know what? I would just fast forward it, because honestly, who gives a fuck about your feelings about the show honestly, who cares? I'm there for the cast, and I want to see what they were doing and stuff like that. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. That's what I think. Yeah. So is that enough? I think that's enough for today. Because actually, I had a buttload of work that I got to finish up. Again, no internet, so I haven't loaded the P1 podcast, and I'm pretty sure the people are mad at me already, but we'll see how it goes. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World, streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World when I have internet that's working at 2 p.m. ish. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.